One day I was walking in a particular street. I was going. Someone just parked his car and came out and lie down like this. On the road. Because I decided to go there. You know how to get to come across my efforts. But Nigerians voted in the condition. I have 56%. That is how you know the success of what you are doing. Nigerians are watching. People are watching.
Welcome to another episode of the CISR podcast, where we share real stories behind Africa's changemakers, leaders, and builders of legacy. I'm your host for today, Sarah Adamu. And today we have today's guest is a distinguished voice in ethical leadership and research. He is a certified doctoral research fellow with the Corporate Institute of Strategic Research. He has also spent years championing ethical leadership and societal transformation. Dr. Valentine Ejeh is a prolific writer, he's a thought leader, and he's also a strong advocate for raising leaders who can shape the society through moral and ethical principles. So today we're going to discuss his journey, his mission, and his vision for a society led by moral and value-based leadership. So it's an honor to have you here, sir. We're super excited to have you, and thank you for showing up on the podcast today.
Thank you for the time. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. So we're just going to start a little with your background. For those who do not know you, who are just seeing you for the first time, we just want you to give us a little bit about yourself, your background, your journey so far, and what has shaped your passion for what you're doing currently.
Yeah, my name's Valentine Ejeh. I am from Kogi State. I've been involved in so many things based on my background. I studied theology and philosophy from School of Biblical Studies, JOS. And I also did postgraduate study in peace and conflict management. And I have a PhD in peace and conflict management. And as she said, I'm a doctoral research fellow of this institute. I'm the publisher of National Ethics and Values magazine. I took up that job at the time from the presidency, Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Ethics and Value. That is Dr. Sarah Jibril. I was championing publication on ethics and value. And you know, ethics and value is one of the missing links in our society today. You talk of communities, you talk corporate world, you talk of political governance system. The issue of ethics has been the major at the core of the inability of the human society to do things properly and to build the standards that can be accepted all over the world. As I said, the office was established at the instance of United Nations. It was because a lot of things were going wrong. People were choosing dishonest way. The question of integrity, honesty, doing the right thing without being policed was going down the drain, and that is why the office was established. So as a publisher of Ethics and Values magazine, I've been able to reach out to a number of people in the society, from the secondary school, primary school, teaching them on the need to return back to ethical values, because Africans are ethical people based on our foundation. If you look at before colonialism, when the colonial master came to Africa, they discovered that in Africa you don't find a thief. They discovered that in Africa, if you have food and your brother don't have, you share with him. They discovered that in Africa, everything is done collectively. And so we are people with very sound moral background. But after colonialism, a lot of things crept in, a lot of attitude crept in, and people decide to embrace Western individualism. And so, at the core of our problem, of African problem today, in respect of ethical values, is the copying of European style of life. Because the Europeans were not as social as Africans in the past. Yes, they are not communal people. But Africans are communal people. And that alone shows how social we are. And as I said earlier, Africans are not known to steal. Africans are not only known to lie. So we are ethical. Our foundation is ethical. But colonialism and the emergence of Western culture, democracy, even though democracy itself is not a bad idea, but it has contributed to the perversion of our values because of the managers of democracy, I mean politicians. Most of the politicians are not, they decide to embrace individualism. Yes, that is why a politician or somebody who has an opportunity to work in a public office where there is money can steal as much money. That is why they will bring money for development, money that will have been used for development of infrastructure. Some people will hijack it and put it in their pockets. So the quest for individualism throw up materialism. And so people become materialistic. People want to have everything. But incidentally, even the West over the years have also realized that it makes no sense to be overly materialistic. Because if you look at their politicians, they are not materialistic. Look at the president of America down the line. They are not materialistic people. America has so much wealth that they may decide to steal and mass for their generation to come. So, but they are not doing that. They realize that. So Africa is supposed to go back to those cherished values of us that is at the core of ethical values. Because if you do research, you know that Africa embraced individualism and materialism in the last 50 years upon colonialism and independence. So, but beside that, in the corporate world, for instance, when we say in the bank, in private businesses owned by individual or group of individuals, there's also need for ethical values. Because without ethical values, you cannot operate anywhere perfectly or oddly. Because you need to be doing the right thing. And you know, most times, doing the right thing is difficult.
And perverted.
So people prefer to get whatever they want. The end justify the means. That philosophy of Machiavelli that people use, even in the corporate world, they don't mind. You see them set up banks. Very soon, people will pack people money in the bank, and the bank will go down the drain. Like in Nigeria, we have had history of many banks that came on board. They couldn't sustain business because of corruption, not adhering to ethical values or doing the right thing. So, ethical leadership is very, very important in our society today. Because even in the church, among the religious leaders, many things are happening. I don't want to go much into that, but I want to let you know that ethical values is also engraved in the biblical teachings.
In the Bible?
Yes, ethical leadership is the Bible. It is also, let me say, it's also foundational to so many ethical thoughts.
It lays down all.
Yes, the principle can also be found in the Bible.
Okay.
So, as a theologian, naturally, I was drawn, instead of being a minister in the church or somewhere, I was drawn to the promotion of ethical values. And that is why I set up National Ethics and Values magazine, of which I'm the publisher and the editor. Also, my other area of research is peace and security. In fact, I was given the doctoral research fellowship of Corporate Institute of Strategic Research based on the research I did on security. Okay. And I made presentation. I've done a lot of work. I have a book titled War, Insurgency, Terrorism, and Peace. And it covers a whole lot of subjects. And in the course of that, the Department of Transformation and Innovation in the Office of Chief of Defense Staff invited me because of the research work I did.
With the Corporate Institute?
No, not really.
Outside?
Yes, outside. A book that I wrote that attracted attention. But again, if you look at our security situation in this country, let me not talk on the whole global scale, but let me see how we can contribute to peace building and post-conflict, and how we can even help to stem the tide of insurgency and terrorism. Because as a researcher, you are expected to profile solution to the problem. And so, the security situation that we have today in Nigeria demand both kinetic and non-kinetic approach. Okay. Yes. Kinetic in the sense that, yes, you can go and fight the bandits because they are carrying arms against the state, which is not lawful in the first place. But you can also use governance, democracy, to bring about development that will discourage
them
from the young ones from embracing Islamic fundamentalism or even criminality, as it were. Because if you look at terrorism, which we can ascribe to the Boko Haram of the Northeast, the banditry is not ideological. While Boko Haram is ideological, banditry is not ideological. Majority of the bandits is, many people are joining the bandit because they want to kidnap to make money. And so that is why it has become lucrative. Okay. So what I'm saying is that...
So it's like a means of livelihood.
Yes, it is becoming a means of livelihood. And youths in the North-West are embracing it, North Central, because they want to make money to live, like politicians and other people, or to live well. And of course, don't forget that they could be having sponsors, but basically, that is the foundation. So, if Nigeria government want to solve this problem, they should concentrate on non-kinetic approach. Non-kinetic approach means creating a foundation for better living, providing facilities for them to have education.
Okay.
Yes. And providing infrastructure, the needed impetus for entrepreneurship. There are so many youths that do not have any skill. Okay. So the government should concentrate on...
I think they are bringing up some...
yes, they are doing so many things. The government is actually doing many things right now. There is no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that since the present leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into power, it has done so many things and is doing, because the National Security Advisor is a round peg in the round square. That is what I can say. Because so many instances, criminality has reduced drastically, and even the level of kidnapping has reduced. That is a fact. And so you can give it to them. But I know that it is not something you can do under 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So it has to be continual. Successive government should embrace kinetic approach. I'm not saying that we shouldn't also use kinetic approach. Yes, of course, we use kinetic approach to defend our territorial integrity or even internal conflicts that we know can escalate. But then, there should be deliberate efforts by the government to ensure that non-kinetic approach is employed. And don't forget that we are talking of northeast, northwest, and even some part of north central. The situation can escalate because there are youthful population all over.
Okay.
Yes, and there is what we call youth bush. There is a theory of what we call youth bush. A situation whereby you have so many productive population, people within the age bracket of maybe 14, 12,
15,
upward. They don't have means of livelihood. And you have many of them. Because if you take statistics now, the people within this bracket, they are larger than people of other age bracket. Yes.
Okay. So is it to empower them?
Yes, you must have deliberate plan to empower them, to make sure that they have skill, to make sure that they don't grow up to constitute nuisance. So there are many things government can do, there are many things corporate world can do to also help the society.
So it's important for them to work on them when they're still young.
Yes. Because from there you can disabuse their mind. If most of these people committing terrorism, insurgency, banditry, kidnapping today, some of them, if they have means of livelihood, they will not embrace.
Most of them.
Yes, most of them. Let me say most of them. Wherever they are. So, deprivation is one of the major causes of the conflict we are having in Nigeria. Because a larger population of people have been deprived of what they should benefit from the states.